Rob is dead. I was right about that bastard. Have you ever noticed how crazy ideas sound less crazy in the dark? I kept imagining Rob in the backseat, awake and waiting for me to fall asleep. Then he would sit up, put his belt around my neck, and pull. It bothered me so much, I decided to retrieve my gun. I kept it beneath my leg until dawn and tucked it into my waistband when it was finally time for breakfast. Rob snored the entire night. As I entered the forest to relieve myself, I was feeling fairly foolish. No shit, the man is afraid of going deeper into this hellhole. If I'm this terrified, how must he feel after what he's been through? I'm the monster, walking around with a gun and planning to leave a man for dead just because he disagreed with me. I was fully convinced to abandon my cruel plan until I returned to see Rob in the driver's seat. The passenger window was down, so I had a perfect view of him from the tree line. He was frantically searching for the keys, which were tucked securely into my pocket. I didn't know what he might do if confronted, so I made plenty of noise coming through the last of the brush. When I made it to the truck, he was opening a can of fruit like he hadn't just been trying to leave me behind. I made soup, but avoided taking anything vital out of the truck. I planned to leave him some food and water, but I was ready to take off as soon as he stepped away. Only he didn't go. We were both waiting for the other to let down their guard, but Rob lost patience. He revealed the crowbar he would stash nearby and calmly explained I would be staying behind, since I'm determined to kill myself anyway. My mind went blank. It's one thing to imagine it, but it's nothing like reality. I was calm and steady as I told him to take the truck. I even threw the keys to him. There was no thought behind it, only instinct. When he turned to walk away, I drew my weapon and fired without warning. The first shot went into the center of his back, and he made a horrible sound as he fell. I hurried closer but hesitated before making the final shot. Part of me wanted him to fully understand what happened. When he began coughing out blood, I ended his suffering with one more to the head. At least he won't become one of the stranded now. I thought it would feel different, like it would change me, but this place had already done that. I don't care that Rob is dead. I only did what was necessary to survive. The funny thing is, he was right. We should have stayed on the nice, paved streets where it was safe. There is much worse things out here than death. After leaving Rob's corpse behind, it took 5 hours to find the next dirt road. It was a long, miserable day. Just to be safe, I turned back to waste some gas. My heart was set on getting into a station with beer at midnight. I didn't know what kind of trouble I was going into, and honestly, I didn't care. At 12:03, I drove onto the dirt road, and my high beams revealed a horde of stranded behind the tree line. I didn't slow down, and they didn't come out. They only want easy targets. Unfortunately, I miscalculated how quickly the gas light would turn on. Less than 20 minutes later, I was still going when a loud roar rattled my windows, followed by the shrill cry of captured prey. Reality began to set in as I realized how foolish my plan had been. Moments later, a low rumble of thunder sounded, and only when it was joined by the violent cracks of breaking limbs did I understand it wasn't thunder after all. Whatever haunts these roads at night found me. I heard it break through the tree line but couldn't force myself to look in the mirror. I knew it would be game over if I did. The roads are much smaller in stage 2, meaning I had to drive slower. My full focus was on navigating the curvy roads as quickly as possible without losing control. I didn't even hear the low fuel light, but when that bright, beautiful gas station appeared around the next bend, I almost crashed into the pump. Parking as close to the door as possible, I threw myself from the truck without even turning off the engine. I was inside and under the counter for a solid 10 minutes before realizing everything had gone quiet. Very carefully, I crawled to a window and peered outside. It looked like several strands had been fused together to form this thing. Only its head was visible in the station lights. The rest was thankfully concealed in a sea of darkness. Its shape was far smaller than expected after hearing the sounds it made, but its face was the most grotesque thing I've ever seen. Its mouth was lost beneath masses of pasty, white skin that looked like pure scar tissue, and I can't get the look of its single, glassy eye out of my mind. There was only a gaping black hole left where the other used to be. Apparently, the stations worked as safe zones. I knew it saw me, but it didn't come any closer. After vomiting, I worked up the courage to test my theory and stepped outside to turn off the truck. The figure still didn't move. That made me feel safe enough to finally look around the store. I helped myself to a 6-pack of Coors and Cheetos and tore through the junk food like a death row inmate. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm fairly drunk. I wonder if it's possible to fill up with just enough gas to be on empty before nightfall. That may be my only chance to make it to stage 3. There is no way I could have outran that thing all night. Hell, that's a brilliant idea. If it works, I could use that strategy the whole way home. It would give me an entire week to search before the store is closed again. Holy shit. I finally see a light at the end of this miserable tunnel. I'm going to get a very good night's sleep and hit the road at first light. I guess I dropped the ball on keeping a record of my time in the back roads, but too bad. No one will ever see this anyway, and this has been the worst week of my life. The things I've had to do to survive are unspeakable. I only open this to say I'm quitting. If someone finds this one day, great. If not, I don't really care. My plan to only fill half the tank worked great, but it took 3 days to find a grass trail. Once I did, I never dreamed I would survive long enough to find another store. But now that I have, I'm not leaving. The creatures in this stage don't give a damn if it's night or day. They are hungry. I would rather face the devil himself than walk out that door again. There are things out here that make the one-eyed monster look like a kitten. I'm done. Today is Saturday, and it's almost midnight. I'm going to hit upload even though I know it won't work, but just in case, my name was Jesse Palmer. Fuck the back roads.